Okay guys, today we're talking about something that every rope top needs and every rope top hopes he'll never need to use. Specifically, safety tools. You gotta have one. By safety tool we mean cutting tool, something to cut your bottom out of rope if there's an emergency. There are a lot of different options out there, and this video is going to help you pick which one might be best for you. The most basic and obvious option is these, medical safety shears. You see these all over the place. They're kind of touted as the ubiquitous rope safety tool. They're dirt cheap, which makes them great for beginners. You can just pick up a set, in a lot of cases, at the same place that you're buying your rope. Rope vendors sell these like candy because they don't want people getting in trouble. I do often recommend these as a beginner cutting tool, both because of their accessibility, the fact that they don't take that much arm strength to cut through something, and the fact that they're easy to find. They usually have a bright colored handle, fit nicely in your pocket as you're tying. They're pretty convenient to start out with. If you do decide to go with the safety shear option, just be aware that these are, for lack of a better word, disposable. They're only good for so many uses. Cutting through, EMTs say they'll go through maybe 3 to 5 pairs of jeans before they're kind of wrecked up and burnt out. So if these are your safety tool, don't use them for other things. Don't use them unless it's an emergency and it's really time to cut the rope. That's a great piece of advice for whatever you choose, actually. Don't dull your cutting tool using it for chopping everyday things. Or if you're going to do that, make sure you own something that you can sharpen it with, and a type of cutting tool that can be resharpened. That doesn't really apply to the safety shears, but it will to some of the other options I'm about to talk about. Another popular version of a cutting tool is a rescue hook. This is my personal favorite, something that I keep attached to my body at all times. They're small, they're portable, they're convenient. This one comes with a set of laces so you can just tie it onto a belt loop or whatever you have when you're working with it to keep it out in the open and accessible quickly. This particular one is the Benchmade Rescue 5. They make much bigger versions, the Rescue 7. I've seen all sorts of Benchmade products out there, and I really do like them. This one has a plastic sheath that it just kind of draws out of in one quick motion. I also like that quite a bit. You can see that this one has kind of a hooked blade, curved blade, so that it's easy to hook exactly just that piece of rope, nothing else, and cut through it. One downside to these is that they do require a lot more arm strength. It's not just, ooh, through it like butter. You really kind of have to hook the rope, back, forth, and pop. You might have to do that twice if you're using double-stranded rope. So it's not the fastest and most efficient, but it is small and easy to keep with you, and it does get the job done. I have had to test this particular one. Just as a tangent, there are definitely better and worse versions of each style of safety tool. To recap the two I've already talked about, here's a very different pair of safety shears. These are maybe more surgical medical shears. They're smaller. They will get the job done, but they're definitely not ideal like that plastic pair I showed you a moment ago. They're a little bit more awkward and dainty to grip and to get underneath rope. Wouldn't recommend these over that one. Another, we were just talking about safety hooks. Here's a little Gerber model. And yeah, it looks all nice and snazzy, but the hook section on it is just a little bit too small. 6mm rope will go into it, but you kind of have to like pinch it and line it up, and it requires even more arm strength on a small tool. Definitely look at what you're buying before you just order any old safety hook online. As a better, or at least more complicated version of the medical shears, you can see the Leatherman Raptor here. This is something I keep mostly because it straps my bag nicely, and because it's kind of a really cool toy to have if you're going to carry a safety tool everywhere. This is it in its compacted form. It transforms out easily into a set of medical shears, and then goes right back in that same plastic sheath that you saw a moment ago. It also has its own version of the safety hook right there built in, and can have both open at the same time. Is this necessary? Is this cost effective? No. It's a really cool toy that I get to carry around because I rig all the time, and this is probably $60, $70. It's definitely not a cheap or effective solution when you're just starting out, but it's so cool. What else have I seen? I've seen seatbelt cutters being carried around as a safety tool. It's kind of an odd choice. They tend to be oddly bulky, and sometimes their opening is meant for that nice flat webbing of the seatbelt. Make sure that whatever you're carrying can easily get rope in and through it. Test whatever safety tool you have just to make sure that it's fit for purpose. What you see here is a gut hook. This is a hunter's tool for dressing animal carcasses, and I've definitely seen some people carrying these as a safety tool. Similar to the safety hooks that we looked at earlier, this is definitely effective on rope. It will slice right through it. However, the huge size of that opening means that a lot more than just your rope can get in there. It can really easily pick up a hand, a finger, an ear, all sorts of nasty things that I don't really want to think about. It's meant for gutting animals, and it can still definitely do that. This is definitely something I would steer people away from. This is not a safety tool, this is a tool for cutting things open. I guess the fact that you can easily remove and replace the blade is an upside to these, but if you see this long plastic neck here, under a lot of tension in an emergency situation, that neck can flex and make it less effective. These are not ideal for purpose. Okay guys, there's one more we need to talk about, even though I don't really consider this an option at all. It's something that I have seen people show up and tie with, so let's get it out in the open there. You know what I'm talking about. A knife. This is something that I kind of roll my eyes when I first see somebody say that this is their safety tool. And then I start to cringe a little bit the more I think about someone trying to use something like this in an emergency situation, the big exposed blade, the pointy tip that can stab people. Think about the context in which you're going to be using a safety tool. This is not a normal time where you're just calmly cutting through rope and can take time to make sure your bottom isn't injured. This is when everything's gone to hell. This is when your frame is collapsed, they're passed out, they're bleeding, you have a head trauma, who knows what's going to happen. You need to be able to move effectively and quickly without injuring your bottom. This has a lot of potential to cause more damage than whatever rope you're trying to get out of. Carrying a big nasty looking knife may seem very domly, very, edgy and dangerous, but it's just a stupid idea. Don't make this your only safety tool. Make this your second choice, your third choice. Don't even carry one at all. If your bottom's in an emergency situation, they're already freaked out and panicking, and they see someone coming at them with a knife, not gonna go well. I'd say that covers all the major types of cutting tools that you'll see out there in the rope community. If you're brand new to rope, I hope that this has helped you look at your various options and pick one that's going to work right for you. For the more experienced people out there, I know you already have one of these. I'm curious what you carry in your rope bag, and if you've ever had to use it, feel free to leave any of that in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. Whatever safety tool you choose, I encourage you to also think about how you're going to carry it, where you're going to store it, and how accessible it is when emergency strikes. When things go to hell, they go quickly. Oftentimes, if something goes badly enough that you're going to need a safety tool, you need it within a second or two of easy reach. In a situation like that, it doesn't matter what your safety tool is. If it's way off in a drawer across the room, if it's buried at the bottom of your rope bag and you have to dig for it, I would say even tucked away in a zipper pocket of your bag is still going to be very cumbersome and very difficult to get to at the type of speed that you might need it. Personally, that Benchmade 5 that I showed you earlier, I keep that tied to my person at all times. The one time I needed it, I had actually just been thrown from a moving vehicle and I had a bit of a head wound. That's a story for a different time, but it gives you an example of what kind of wacky situation you might be in when you need to cut rope. Another pro tip as far as cutting tools, whatever you choose, try it out. Find some test rope, some junk rope, and see what it feels like to go through that rope, both loose and under tension. It's probably different than what you expected. The amount of arm force, for instance, that I needed when I first used this safety hook was not at all what I was expecting, and I kind of had to learn on the fly. Don't let the emergency be the first time that you're using your tool. As always, my name's George. Thanks for watching.